Hey, this is Kerry King, and you're watching Spotlight Report.
Kerry King, legendary of the metal music. Thank you so much for sitting down to chat with us here at Spotlight Report. How's been the tour for you so far? How was that feeling to debut your full new album here in Melbourne yesterday and now about to play it here in Sydney?
Sydney's a fucking mess right now.
I know, mate.
This place, man, it's like it brings back memories from European festivals. This happens all the time in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Sydney was quite prepared for all the mud that is surrounding this place. But we're gonna have a good time. The Australian people don't give a shit. They're just here to have a good time. So aside from a little bump in the road getting here, it'll be a great show.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that pulling out your own band for your own album, which is a monstrosity of an album, I must say, was incredible. What did you make you feel like, say, well, Mark is my man, Mark is my singer? What were you looking specifically in a singer for your band?
Well, I knew he could do it. And honestly, what I wanted for every person in the band, I just wanted to be around my friends. I've been in this business way too long to just get business relationships. I want to get people I like to hang with. So that was the first order of business with everything. Me and Mark been friends off and on for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew he could do it. Wasn't about his chops, but he came in and did. He's the only singer that worked with me and Paul, and he worked with us probably off and on for 8-9 months before we even gave him the gig. So we were just friends trying to make music and make it as good as we could and get it to that point. And I think it was like 2 months before we actually recorded that I told him if he wanted the gig, it was his.
Wow.
So we did a lot of work before he even had the gig.
Wow, man. Well, you guys, the synergy on stage when you play the side show with Mastodon was unreal. You bring your pyros, you bring everything, it's unreal. You were being part of some musical duets. You play with the late Jeff Kayman, Gary Holt, and now you have Phil on the band. How was that decision to get Phil on board from Mastodon onto your band?
Well, I always thought Gary would move on with me, but the closer it came to actual being, it'd be like, man, that's 3/4 of Slayer, and that's too much.
Yeah,
it's too much. People already, compare me to Slayer righteously because I come from there. But if I had 3 of the 4, it wouldn't have worked. And I knew I had to have Paul because Paul and I work real well together. So I just wanted to get somebody that had the same pedigree. And turned out, Phil had left Machine Head and came in and filled in 4 shows for Slayer when we were in Europe in 2018, I think. And he basically told me he wanted to be a part of my future. So that's pretty much the last we spoke about it, and just waited for pieces to fall into place.
I heard that you wanted to release this album beforehand, but COVID hit and fucked up everything, of course.
Yeah,
how was the frustration of not being able to take the album out, and how do you deal with those crazy years we live in?
COVID, well, luckily I stayed busy. I worked a lot on new material, so there's tons of new material. I just got to get to working it. I'm not going to get into record it until tour 1's over. And I think that's going to be probably into next summer, unless something else comes up. But me and Paul already have tons of stuff to work on. So I just got to get busy and start writing lyrics and making the song shape up, and then we'll be in good shape to record. But we definitely got our foot on the gas. We don't want to take months off at a time. We're all too old for that anymore, So we want to stay busy and keep getting new product to the fans and give us a reason to go see them again.
Diablo, Crucifixion, Toxicity, Idle Hands, of course. They're very, very even you have a song called Rage, and I want to actually it's a lot of rage in those songs, and it's a lot of anti-Christian, anti-religious kind of lyrics. How's the Kerry King lyrical process comes from? How do you work on that?
Well, it's funny because I can find anger in any aspect of life, really, because humans are, what's the right word? Humans are their own worst enemy more than anything. And I could take lyrics from anything and put it somewhere you would have no idea. I'll give you an example. In Crucifixion, there's a line that says, the bottleneck of idiocy. I was in traffic when I wrote that.
Really? Well,
I was in a bottleneck of idiocy, and I wrote it in my phone, and it ended up in an anti-Christian song. So
Cool
it's
take.
funny how my head works and takes anger from one place and puts it somewhere else. But that's how all of them come out. I might have got the idea for the main chorus lines in the song from something completely different.
Mhm.
But that's what's fun about making up things. That way, it has more meaning for me than people will ever know because they never know where that thought came from in the first place. They just know it in the context of the particular song.
Mhm. Seeing you on stage, like you look like I want to say more relaxed, but you seem more chill on stage, stuff like that. So, is this what's life after Slayer is for you? It's like a more relaxing environment with friends, playing with friends. How is life after Slayer, despite all the shows that you have in between the reunion shows? What's been your life after that?
Yeah, as I told everybody in my band, because I never had to do that before. I never had to tell somebody else what I was going to do. But when the Slayer shows got announced, I hadn't told anybody in my band because it never occurred to me.
Hmm.
It never occurred. It never because it was nothing to me. I don't mean to sound that way, but I know it's not going to be a thing. Like Slayer's not going to record. Slayer's not going to go on tour.
Hmm.
But everybody in my band didn't know that, and they all got blindsided.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, guys, that's my bad. I've never been in this situation. So I told them all and said, listen, man, we're going to keep recording. Slayer's never going to do another record. If we do a couple shows here, a couple shows there, it's not going to interfere with anything we're doing.
Hmm.
So life after Slayer is good. I like where we're at. Everybody in the band has a great time on stage, has a great presence on stage. Um, and when the show's over, we all hang in the dressing room or on the bus, whatever it may be, and have a drink if everybody feels like staying up. And it's just super chill.
I want to ask you. I'm assuming during your whole career you have met some very, very crazy and out of the place fans. Is anything that stand up for you like a very crazy or funny story or fun request that happened to you while on tour?
I'll try to make a somewhat long story short. At the end of the shows, we for decades signed for fans after the show if we have time and there's people hanging out. So we were somewhere in Spain years ago, probably in the early 2000s, and I had a walking around with my own pen. And one of the fans was, insisting I use his pen.
Mhm.
Didn't speak English, but
Yeah.
he wants me to use it. So I grab it, and it's a scalpel.
Oh,
He wanted me to cut Slayer into his arm. And
really?
I said, dude, I'll sign anything you got, but I'm not going to cut you.
Wow, that's super metal and so freaky too. And just to finish, mate, any message for your Australian fans ahead of your shows and like you say the next album coming up?
I love Australia, and I wish we came to Australia more often. Um, but, we can only come one on an album cycle, so I got to hurry up and get my next record going so I can come back and see all you guys again. But until then, enjoy today, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate your time. This has been like a awesome time.